What's up guys, my name is Patricia from tarantulaheaven.com. I have Miss Spidey here, my Chilean rose hair, and today we're going to talk about baby tarantulas and the big risks associated with getting a baby tarantula. If you're new here, I share lots of information about tarantulas, tarantula facts, tarantula research, my observations, and just silly stuff about my own tarantulas. So if you are into that, or into watching Spidey move around her tank and be naughty, you are more than welcome to subscribe, and also you can also support my Patreon and my tarantula work and get early access to my YouTube videos. So as if tarantulas are not complicated enough, it gets even crazier when you add a baby tarantula to the mix. And this was something that I started thinking about a lot more at the end of last year when I invested in my first sling. After having only one tarantula right here, and she's an adult for several years, I decided to treat myself to a baby Arizona blonde. And so I've been doing a lot more research about slings since then, and a lot of people have questions about slings, so I think this is a really great topic. A lot of people end up getting slings because they think it's an easy way to ease into the tarantula hobby if they're a little bit intimidated by getting a juvenile or an adult tarantula, and I totally understand that. There's something very cute and precious and adorable about a baby spider, especially when you're a new tarantula owner and you're a little bit intimidated by a full-grown tarantula. It's a good way to introduce yourself into tarantula care without having to worry about getting attacked. But there are risks. Nothing can really prepare us for how vulnerable they are. So if you're thinking about getting a baby tarantula as your first tarantula, or just thinking about getting a baby tarantula in general, I hope that this prepares you a little bit better. So first things first, I like to do the most serious, sad things first. It is important to know that with slings, not all of them will make it. This is true for when they were even just in the egg sac. There are numerous tarantulas. Now, tarantulas lay hundreds of eggs sometimes, to thousands. There are going to be a number of tarantula little babies that are not going to make it past the egg sac, and there are going to be a lot of duds. And that is true for any part of the growing phase. When they are young, they are so vulnerable, and it is so common for them not to survive molt or just die for any reason. So slings are very, very vulnerable. So it's important for you to know that some slings just don't make it, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you did anything wrong or that it was your fault. Some of them are just not meant to make it past a certain point, and I know that that's really, really sad, but I think it's helpful to know that because it could happen. Another risk when you're having a baby tarantula is that they're very good escape artists. Some of us are very surprised when we first get our baby tarantula of how tiny they are, and when when we are new to tarantula care, we might be new to making holes in our containers and stuff like that, or judging how big a hole needs to be, and some of us make our holes too big and we misjudge, and we are surprised when all of a sudden our baby tarantula is not in the tank anymore and they have escaped. Tarantulas are escape artists. It's really common for tarantula owners to find out to their horror that they've made the air holes too big and that their spider is missing. And it's really easy to lose and never find a baby tarantula because they're just so tiny, and usually they haven't had their coloring yet, so they tend to be a bit transparent or hard to find. So you want to avoid this and be aware that this is a big risk for you. And something that I just found out, and we've talked a lot about, I think I've talked a lot about this on the channel of like things not to do, and one of the biggest things that I've said is, you don't need to have a sponge in your water dish. Like, your tarantula is not going to drown in its water dish. But I just saw a Facebook post about a tarantula keeper whose slings actually did drown in their water dish, and that was because the water dish was far too deep. And I'm going to put a link below to that Facebook post just so you guys can see the different comments and the different opinions that happen in that situation, as well as the photos. But it's something to really be aware of. So while your tarantula usually will not drown, and usually they have the evolutionary techniques not to do that, when we're talking about slings, they're really vulnerable, and if they actually do have a water dish that's too big for them or too deep, they could actually drown, apparently. So if you need to give your sling a water dish, I know that sometimes when they're really, really tiny, it can be really hard to find a water dish that's small enough or appropriate for their size, but my guidance would be to go wide instead of deep, just so you can avoid this. And another risk to your baby tarantula is to make sure that you have the appropriate sized prey for them. If the prey items are too big, they might get hurt or even become the prey in an attack. As a rule of thumb, I generally make sure that the prey is like half the size of the tarantula, or a lot of people will slightly injure the prey or even pre-kill the prey to make sure that their sling will not be hurt in the process. With Blinky is so tiny. I give them baby crickets or baby roaches. You can even get like pinheads, just because you want to make sure that this is not a danger to them. So you want to make sure you're definitely not feeding them anything bigger than they are. So those are my few tips on the risks that your baby tarantula might have, and those are the things that I think you need to be aware of when you're getting your first sling. If you have any other suggestions, if you've had slings and you've faced other problems, please leave them in the comments below so we can all learn. And all risks aside, I think having a baby tarantula is absolutely wonderful. I'm so happy that I did get a sling, and I think they're really fun to learn about, and they are definitely different than taking care of an adult tarantula. So if you're looking to grow your experience and gain more experience, I definitely recommend it if you've only had adults in the past. And I think it's really rewarding to see a tarantula grow from a baby and like having raised it throughout its life. So that's why I'm having fun with my little sling. And I hope that I get to see it become almost the size that Spidey is one day. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that and found it helpful. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't already. And you can also help support my work on Patreon and get early access to videos. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you later. And thank you so much for your support. Bye.